Book 3, Chapter 3 of The Cinema Murder. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Mary Rhodey. The Cinema Murder by E. Phillips Oppenheim. Book 3, Chapter 3. The success of The House of Shams was as immediate and complete as was the social success of its author. After a few faint-hearted attempts, Philip and Elizabeth both agreed that the wisest course was to play the bold game, to submit himself to the photographer, the interviewer, and to some judicious extent to the wave of hospitality which flowed upon him from all sides. He threw aside, completely and utterly, every idea of leading a more or less sheltered life. His photograph was in the Sunday newspapers and the magazines. It was quite easy, in satisfying the appetite of journalists for copious personal details, especially after the hints dropped by Mr. Fink, to keep them carefully off the subject of his immediate past. There had been many others in the world who, on attaining fame, had preferred to gloss over their earlier history. It seemed to be tacitly understood amongst this wonderful freemasonry of newspapermen that Mr. Merton Ware was to be humored in this way. He was a man of the present. Character sketches of him were to be all foreground. But nevertheless Philip had his trials. "Want to introduce you to one of our chief movie men," Noel Bridges said to him one day in the smoking room of the Lambs. "He is much interested in the play, too. Mr. Raymond Greene. Shake hands with Mr. Merton Ware." Mr. Raymond Greene, smiling and urbane, turned around with outstretched hand, which Philip, courteous, and with all that charm of manner which was making him speedily one of the most popular young men in New York, grasped cordially. "I am very happy to meet you, Mr. Greene," he said. "You represent an amazing development. I am told that we shall all have to work for you presently, or find our occupation gone." With a cool calculation which had come to Philip in these days of his greater strength, he had purposely extended his sentence, conscious, although apparently he ignored the fact, that all the time Mr. Raymond Greene was staring in his face with a bewilderment which was not without its humorous side. He was too much of a man of the world, this great picture producer, to be at a loss for words, to receive an introduction with any degree of clumsiness. "But surely," he almost stammered, "we have met before?" Philip shook his head doubtfully. "I don't think so," he said. "As a matter of fact, I am sure we haven't, because you are one of the men whom I hoped some day to come across over here. I couldn't possibly have forgotten a meeting with you." Mr. Raymond Greene's blue eyes looked as though they saw visions. "But surely," he expostulated, "the Elletania, my table on the Elletania, when Miss Dalstan crossed—" Philip laughed easily. "Why," he exclaimed, "are you going to be like the others and take me for, wasn't it Mr. Romilly, the man who disappeared from the Waldorf? Why, I've been tracked all around New York because of my likeness to that man." "Likeness!" Mr. Raymond Greene muttered. "Likeness!" There was a moment's silence. Then Mr. Greene knew that the time had arrived for him to pull himself together. He had carried his bewilderment to the very limits of good breeding. "Well, well," he continued, "fortunately it's 6 o'clock, and I can offer you gentlemen a cocktail, for upon my word I need it. Come to look at you, Mr. Ware, there's a trifle more what I might term savoir faire about you. That chap on the boat was a little crude in places, but believe me, sir," he went on, thrusting his arm through Ware's and leading him towards the bar, You don't want to be annoyed at those people who have mistaken you for Romilly, for in the whole course of my life, and I've travelled round the world a pretty good deal, I never came across a likeness so entirely extraordinary." "I have heard other people mention it," Noel Bridges intervened, "although not quite with the same conviction as you, Mr. Greene. Curiously enough, however, the photograph of Romilly which they sent out from England, and which was in all the Sunday papers, didn't strike me as being particularly like Mr. Ware." "It was a damn bad photograph, that," Mr. Raymond Greene pronounced. "I saw it. Couldn't make head nor tail of it myself. Well, the world is full of queer surprises, but this is the queerest I ever run up against. Believe me, Mr. Ware, if this man Romilly, who disappeared, had been a millionaire, you could have walked into his family circle and been made welcome at the present moment. Why, I don't believe his own wife or sister, if he had such appendages, would have been able to tell that you weren't the man." "Unfortunately," Bridges remarked, as he sipped the cocktail which the cinema man had ordered, "this chap Romilly was broke, wasn't he? Did a scoot to avoid the smash-up? They say that he had a few $100,000 over here, ostensibly for buying material, and that he has taken the lot out west." "Well, I must say he didn't seem that sort on the steamer," Mr. Raymond Greene declared. "But you never can tell. Looked to me more like a schoolteacher. Some day, Mr. Ware, I want you to come along to my office, it's just around the corner on Broadway there, and have a chat about the play." "You don't want to film us before we've finished its first run, surely?" Philip protested, laughing. "Give us a chance." "Well, we'll talk about that," the cinema magnate promised. They were joined by other acquaintances, and Philip presently made his escape. One of the moments which he had dreaded more than any other had come and passed. Even if Mr. Raymond Greene had still some slight misgivings, he was, to all effects and purposes, convinced. Philip walked down the street, feeling that one more obstacle in the path of his absolute freedom had been torn away. He glanced at his watch and boarded a downtown car, descended in the heart of the city region of Broadway, and threaded his way through several streets until he came to the back entrance of a dry goods store. Here he glanced once more at his watch and commenced slowly to walk up and down. The timekeeper, who was standing in the doorway with his hands in his pockets, watched him with interest. When Philip approached for the third time, he addressed him in a friendly fashion. "Waiting for one of our gals, eh?" Philip stifled his quick annoyance and answered in as matter-of-fact a tone as possible. "Yes. How long will it be before they are out from the typewriting department?" "Typewriting department?" the man repeated. "Well, that depends some upon the work. They'll be out most likely in 10 minutes or so. I guessed you were after one of our showroom young ladies. We get some real swells down here sometimes, motor cars of their own. The typist ain't much, as a rule. It's a skinny job, theirs." "The young ladies from here appear to be prosperous," Ware remarked. "I watched them last night coming out. My friend happened to be late, and I had to leave without seeing her." "That's nothing to go by. Their clothes ain't," the man replied. "They spend all their money on their backs instead of putting it inside. If it's Miss Grimes you're waiting for, you're in luck, for here she is, first out." Philip drew a little into the background. The girl came down the stone passage, passed the timekeeper without appearing to notice his familiar "good evening," and stepped out into the murky street. Philip, who saw her face as she emerged from the gloom, gave a little start. She seemed paler than ever, and she walked with her eyes fixed upon vacancy, as though almost unconscious of her whereabouts. She crossed the sidewalk without noticing the curbstone, and stumbled at the unexpected depth of it. Philip stepped hastily forward. "Miss Grimes!" he exclaimed. "Martha! Why do you look at me as though I were a ghost?